Greetings, BookTube, and welcome back to the Wild Digest. I am Scott, your host, and it is, as I record this, it is Monday, March 16th. And the important thing about that is that yesterday was March 15th, a Sunday, and the Los Angeles Vintage Paperback Collectors Show and sale. So that's what I did yesterday, and I thought I would share with you some of the stuff that I saw and also some of the stuff that I bought. So first and foremost, this is what happened at the show and sale. Okay, so just a few minutes worth of footage from the show. As I've mentioned in posts and in other videos, I absolutely love this show. It's one of my favorite events of the year, and I'm looking forward to doing more and more. And hopefully, we will see a 47th event next year, and it'll just keep going on and on and on. My personal opinions about the show this year. So it felt a little light. Now, I think attendance was good, but it felt like the number of dealers was a little low. There used to be like the back wall, and it won't really make much difference to you when after you watch that video. But there is a whole section of the back wall that was just completely devoid of tables, as far as I could tell. I mean, there were a couple of vendors there. But if you look at the footage, if you go back to the footage, and there was a table that had some movie posters and some lobby cards. I don't know if you remember that. Well, it used to be that immediately adjacent to that table would have been another couple of vendors. And this year, there was nothing there. And you'll also possibly notice in the video that there were some empty tables. Now, we got there fairly early. The show starts at 9 a.m. and we actually walked in at about 9:15. So it's entirely possible that some of the dealers weren't there yet, and were planning on showing up sooner than later. Hopefully people didn't cancel out. But I don't know. I just felt like the number of sellers had been certainly decreased. And there was certainly a couple of sellers that I frequent that weren't there this year. There was in the previous years, well, at least last year, there was one seller who was up in the front corner, sort of adjacent to where the autographs were going on. It's right by the stage. And last year, this person had 2 carts out, and on either side of these carts, there were loads and loads of paperbacks. And if I remember right, they were like $2. But what was great about that particular vendor was they had tons of DAW books and in really, really nice condition. So I picked up a few from them last year, but I don't think they were there this year. I'll have to go back and see if I can figure out which sellers were there last year and which ones didn't make it for this year. So, but that's neither here nor there. I still had a really wonderful time, and while I could have walked away with bags and bags of books, again, my pangs of guilt. I don't know why I experienced that, but the pangs of guilt I felt after I had already acquired a bag full of books prevented me from spending any more money. And I think when all is said and done, I maybe spent about $75 or so. I'll have to go through and check all the prices, which I did track pretty well, but I think that was probably as much as I spent, which is pretty minimal for a lot of us. But anyway, I thought I would go through the 28 books that I did get, and I'm going to go pretty quickly because I don't want to stretch this thing out to 45 minutes. So I'll comment on a few things and share a couple of fun stories. But first off, and these are not in any order whatsoever. First off is Beyond the Golden Star by Hannes Bach. Now, I have wanted to read Hannes Bach's books for a long time now. And a little side story. When I was growing up, there was this book that my brother and I had that was, I believe, called either Terror or Terrors or Horror or Horrors. I think it was Terror. And it was one of those books that was sort of an overview of horror literature and film and things like that. Well, the cover had a striking image of a giant monster. I'm not going to go into exactly what it was, but my brother and I loved that particular image. My brother went so far as to somehow make a t-shirt, and this was back in the early 80s, and somehow he was able to hook up with somebody to make a t-shirt of it, and he loved it, and he was very happy to have that. And as the years went on, I would occasionally see the work of this particular artist, Hannes Bach, pop up in various Lovecraft-related books and weird tales and things like that. Come to find out, this artist-author, his real last name, was Woodard, same as me. So somewhere along the line, we were related, but we didn't even know it when we first discovered his art back in the 80s. So I know he wrote poetry. I know he was an illustrator who did a lot of work, and if you've seen some of his stuff, I won't share it now. Maybe down the line I'll do something. But if you've seen his work, you will remember it. It's really terrific stuff from early pulp days, and I think he passed away maybe in the 60s or something like that. But you know, I don't have all this information at the tip of my tongue. So, but anyway, so I did get one of his books. This particular vendor actually had another one, and it's possible I think he only did 2 novels. I picked up both, and they were both a little pricey. And I thought about it, and I decided, well, let me put them. I put them both back, and then I thought for a moment, well, I don't want to leave the show without taking at least one of them back. And I went back to grab the 2 to decide which one to grab. And wouldn't you know it, there was a person standing right next to me who had the other book in their hands. So I did get this one, and I'm really excited about it. It's in great condition. And I'm looking forward to reading this at some point. It's got an introduction by Lynn Carter. All right, that's a long story. A lot of the other stuff we're just going to fly through. New Worlds Quarterly, number 3, edited by Michael Moorcock. Just a great anthology. A whole bunch of primarily British writers. And I also got number 2, but I don't see it in the stack. It'll come up eventually. One of the other books I had on my want list was this one, Andre Norton's Sea Siege. I'm really going to be wrestling with focus in this video, I think. But Sea Siege. And I put this on my list, and I've been wanting to get a copy for a while. And this was at a vendor who had stacks and stacks of beautiful condition paperbacks. And it was $2 each or 6 for 10. And so I grabbed 2 stacks of 6. So this was one of them, and you'll see some of the other ones that come up and just the incredible condition these are in. But that was Sea Siege, Andre Norton. This is The Stealer of Souls, Michael Moorcock. I actually have the first Lancer edition of this, the paperback of this, but again, this was in that stack of 6 for $10, so I could not pass that up. There were a few DAWs that I wanted to grab, and we're going back to the $2/6 for 10 piles. These are all in incredible condition, but the problem is some of these are parts of series, and I don't have all the other books, so they're kind of intermixed. It might be like book 3 or book 2 or whatever. This is Emil Pataya, Saga of Lost Earths. It's DAW number 340. The Book of Andre Norton, going back to Andre Norton. Again, incredible condition on this. Number 165 for you DAW collectors out there. Here is another one that I had on my want list, and I've been wanting to get this for a heck of a long time. Again, going back to when I was a kid, there were 2 books that my... I don't know if I had them, if my brother had them, or if they were in my dad's collection. And it was the first 2 Flashing Swords collections. Edited by Lynn Carter. I currently have 1, 3, 4, and 5, and they are all in phenomenal condition. They're all bagged and on my shelf, but I've never been able to find 2 in the wild. And I did get number 2 with this gorgeous Death Dealer Frank Frazetta cover. It's amazing. I'm sure you will agree. And really funny story about this one. I walked up to a booth, and I see this book just sitting on top of the books there, and there's a guy flipping through looking at the other paperbacks, and I'm thinking, are you kidding me right now? This thing is on my want list. I'm looking for it today, and this guy is about to buy it. And so I walked up and I said, are you getting this book? And he said, well, I was thinking about it because I really like the Death Dealer, the Frazetta cover. And I said, I'm going to be honest with you. I said, this is one I'm looking for today. And I pulled my list out and showed it to him. And he just said, he goes, I was going to buy this based on the cover alone. He said, you obviously really want this book. And he let me take it. So I was able to get this one. I think it was $5. So a little bit more, but it came bagged. And my collection of Flashing Swords, at least 1 through 5, is now complete. Another one from the $2 or $10, 6 for 10 was this Gordon Dickson's Necromancer, and it's one of the Dorsey books. But again, just look at the shine on that. These things are look at the shine. This is a later reprint of it, I think. Yeah, it doesn't have a number on it. but I couldn't pass it up. Same stacks. Fritz Leiber's The Green Millennium. This is the one about the green cat. And I'm turning it so you can see what great condition these are in. I mean, there's no cracked spines or anything. More or less look brand new. And so this was, 6 for $10. Another one from the same guy, same seller. I grabbed this Star Trek novel, Price of the Phoenix. I didn't have it. I occasionally dip into my Treks, and so this one will probably come up when was it Trek? Was August Treks? I can't remember what month it was when we were reading Star Trek books, but I got another one to add to the collection there. This one was a few dollars. This was only $3 if I remember correctly. And it's a really nice pan lozenge, Stars of Albion, a really great collection, edited by Robert Holdstock and Christopher Priest. I was looking for Christopher Priest books while I was there. This was the closest I could find. It at least has one of his short stories in here. And always happy to get any of the pan books. So this is a nice collection. Destination Infinity, Henry Kuttner. Again, just incredible condition on this. There's, oh boy, trying to get it lined up. Yeah, it's a little blown out there, but just really, really, really clean copy. Solid spine, unbroken. This one, I think this one was at a seller who had books in all these just sort of milk crates set out on a table, and they were all bagged. I took the bag off most of these because they were kind of dusty. All bagged, and I think he had them priced at $3 each, 2 for $5. No, that doesn't make sense. $2 each, 3 for $5. That makes more sense. So I think it was like $1 savings. So I grabbed a few from him, but yeah, this one looked really, really good. I did get some Westerns. Usually my Western buys are authors that I know, or cover buys. And some of these definitely were cover buys, and the great condition overall. This is The Haunted Hills by B.M. Bauer. A lot of these are 30s, 40s, 50s. I got, I think, 1 or 2 60s in there, early 60s. But it was such a bright, gorgeous cover. I love the yellow. I couldn't pass that one up. I got a couple of Max Brands because I've read some Max Brands and I own some other Max Brand novels, but I did not have these ones. This is Happy Valley, or The Happy Valley. It's kind of got a crazy little cover there. I like that. This one's probably about as worn a copy of a book that I bought. All the other ones are just in such great shape, but this one, somebody carefully read it, probably decades ago. Another Max Brand, another great cover, The Rancher's Revenge. Look at that. That's a really awesome image on there. I love it. This one's nice and solid. Elmer Kelton is an author I have not read, but I have heard about. And this leapt out at me. This is from the early 60s, I think 1961, Donovan with a photo cover. Haven't read it. Looking forward to it. Wayne Overholser is an author that I have not read yet, but I've heard very, very good things about. I was actually looking for one of his other books that had been recommended to me, but I did not find that. But I saw this one, and I think this was again in the guy that had the vendor that had the milk crates full of books. So I grabbed it. Again, really nice condition copy, The Lone Deputy. Know nothing about it, but it was definitely a cover buy and an author recognition. And then lastly, with this one, Flaming Canyon, Walter Tompkins. This is a Dell, an old Dell. And what I really thought was cool about this is that we all know about the Dell mystery map backs that they used to do back in the day. And this is a Dell Western with a map back. And I thought that was pretty cool. But it's in great shape. Also, something interesting, if I remember correctly, I think these both have art from the same artist. Oh, it's just too blown out. But anyway, same artist did both of those covers. Kind of a neat thing. I had mentioned in a previous video that when I went to recycle books in San Jose, I picked up the first book of the John Grimes novels. It's a double from Ace, from A. Bertram Chandler. I spotted this. It was only $2, and it is book 2. I haven't even started reading book 1, but I thought, you know what, for the price and the condition it was in, I would just go ahead and grab it. And it was a chonker, but I think there's 3 novels in this one. So anyway, now I have book 2, and as I think I mentioned in a previous video, there might be something like 5 of those. This one is an interesting one. It's not science fiction. It's not fantasy. It's not horror. In fact, it's not fiction at all. But it's The Coast of Coral by Arthur C. Clarke. And it's a nonfiction book published by Avon Camelot Publishing. It has photographs in there. They're all going to be on a weird angle, I'm sure. You can see the diver there and stuff. And, you know, I'm working on a project right now that has to do with a lot of undersea stuff. And I thought, you know what, if I can read some of this and maybe get some inspiration, I'm always looking for phrasing and terms that maybe I might have missed. And if I can find any of that stuff in this book, it would be a nice thing to grab. And again, this was on the table that was 6 for $10. So The Coast of Coral, Arthur C. Clarke. Certainly name recognition on that one. We're almost done, I swear. I had picked up, what was it? One of the David Falcon books, the second volume. I can't remember which one it was. But anyway, I had on my list that I was looking for a copy of Flandry of Terra, Flandry of Terra by Poul Anderson. And I found a really nice, clean copy, again, on that seller who had the 6 for $10. And so I grabbed Flandry of Terra. That came home with me. Another DAW, again, going back to that 6 for $10 guy. But this is the 5th book in the Daedalus series by Brian Stableford. But, you know, I try to just collect DAWs that are in really, really nice condition, and this was definitely there. I think I have one more over there. Another Gordon Dickson, which also is in fantastic shape. So I could not pass it up for that price. I showed you that I had New Worlds Quarterly number 3, I think. Here's New Worlds Quarterly number 2. This was $3. Again, edited by Michael Moorcock. Mostly British authors in here. So just a nice, fun little anthology. This was definitely a cover buy. I knew nothing about this book. I know nothing about the author. That may just show that I'm completely ignorant. But it sounded fun. A swashbuckling novel of a Irish highwayman. Captain Lightfoot. He's not singing about the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. No, this is, Captain Lightfoot. It says he drank, he fought, he winched his way across old Ireland, the swashbuckling adventures of a lusty highwayman. And you can see the author in there smoking away, smoking a pancake. Yeah, that was just a cover buy. Sounded fun. Thought I'd grab it. It was cheap. This was another one that was absolutely a cover buy. It's John Russell. Name rings a bell. Why does that name ring a bell? Anyway, this is a collection of stories, and it's The Lost God and Other Adventure Stories. It's an old pocket, one of these little shorties, pocket shorty, squat shorty. Probably completely politically incorrect cover there. But I mean, how could I skip this book? Look, it's like a guy in an old diving suit, apparently being worshipped by natives. I mean, that could be fun. And there's a reference on here to comparing him to like Kipling or something like that. So couldn't pass it up. Looked fun. I did get one Ace double, one of the sort of later, taller versions. It's a Jack Vance on one side, The Last Castle. And you can see that's 1967. And on the back is World of the Sleeper by Tony Russell Wayman. But this was also on the 6 for 10. I exploited that table to the best of my ability. This is a Brian Stableford. This is also one that's part of a series. It's Dies Irae 3. Yeah, I can see there's other ones listed in here. But this is Day of Wrath, and the main reason I bought this was the cover. I didn't even look beyond it. I mean, obviously I know Stableford's work, but the cover is a Frank Kelly Freeze cover, and if you've never seen it, how cool is that? Look at that. It's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, that had to go home with that with me. That's another ace. And then lastly, I mentioned I had one more DAW, and it was a Dickson, and it is the Book of Gordon Dickson. It's a little bit of it's just wear. There's no I can't feel anything. It's just the cover like just wore off probably over the years of being in a box or something. It's number 55, so it's a nice low one. A collection of Dickson stuff, and again, just fantastic condition apart from that little scrape. Well, that's funny. I just noticed this. Harlan Ellison wrote of this book, "The kudos go to Gordon Dickson, a man who's been writing science fiction for 20 years, yet has somehow been overlooked when lists of the top writers are assembled." It goes on. Anyway, that is 28 books, I think. So a good haul, very happy with it. Some westerns, some fantasy, some science fiction, some short stories, a body highwayman story, all sorts of goodies in there. It was a great show. Again, I could have bought so much more. I held so many books in my hands that I really wanted to bring home, but I opted in the end to just stop while I was ahead. So that is it. So I had a fantastic time at the show. I hope you enjoyed my little video there, and hope you enjoyed this look at this haul. And yeah, right now I'm finishing a Louis L'Amour Western, if you wanted a little reading update. Almost done with that, and what I'm going to roll into next, I am not entirely sure, but it may be that Andre Norton's Sea Siege book, because I've been looking for that one for a very, very long time, so we'll see. But until then, until I pop in again, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, it is Scott from the Wild Digest signing off. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thanks for spreading the word, and I will talk to you all again very, very, very soon.